All right, I've been waiting to do this. I've been waiting to talk a little Kent State baseball today. We are in the throes of the 2025 College World Series in Omaha, Nebraska. And don't forget, it wasn't that long ago, 2012. Team from Kent, Ohio made it to Omaha. It was one of the most magical college baseball seasons ever, and we are pleased to bring on the pitching coach then and the pitching coach now. That is Mike Birkbeck of the Golden Flashes of Kent State. Berkey, how are you this afternoon?
Sammy, I'm doing great, man. It's great to hear from you.
Good to hear from you too. I know I wanted to get a hold of you for this particular time in the year, and I was like, well, should we wait till we got the combatants for the College World? I said, screw it. We're gonna talk Kent State anyway. So who cares? Who cares who's in the championship round? But before we get into all that, kind of get everybody caught up with what you're doing. I know you're still doing your thing as the pitching coach, and how's the world treating you nowadays?
Everything's really good. We had a great year, won the conference again, and our guys they played their hearts out, pretty much like they did in 2012. And then once we got to the tournament, we had one bad day, and as we all know in tournaments, that can be fatal.
Yeah, no kidding. With this College World Series this year, I'm not sure how much you've been watching. I assume you've been watching a little bit, but how about this year, Coach, that Coastal Carolina and Murray State both crashed the party and got to play in Omaha? We all know that it's not set up for teams like that or teams from the MAC or the Mountain West, the Ohio Valley, to get there. But these two teams did, and I think that's a pretty cool story.
Oh, it's no question, and they've just played really good baseball, and that's what's interesting on that journey is that you don't necessarily have to be better than the other team. All you have to beat them is that day.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to find a way to win that day. And man, those two squads that you just mentioned have played just outstanding baseball. And I was just watching the Coastal Carolina game, and they're doing it again. I mean, I think it's 8-0 in the sixth inning.
Oh my gosh! Okay, good.
They're not doing anything special. They're just playing really good baseball.
The Chanticleers, boy, they got it going on, that's for sure. All right, let's circle back now. 2012, the magical run starts, an incredible regular season for Kent State. And when I talk about incredible, I'm talking 24-3 or 47-20, but you were 24-3 in the conference. You pretty much ran away from things, and then you start thinking, okay, maybe this little engine can. And you get to go to the regionals, then you go to the supers, then you make it to Omaha. But wow, Coach, what a wild and bizarre ride it was between the end of the Mid-American Conference Championship and Omaha. Walk us through that wild series at the Steel Yard in Gary, Indiana against Kentucky, and then all the way out to Eugene. You had to stand up till 2:00 in the morning to watch you clinch that. What was that like? That was crazy.
Oh, it was interesting because about the middle of the year that year, we were up and down. We were just up and down, playing good at times, not playing well at times. And then all of a sudden, it was really cool. The guys in the locker room got together and they decided what they wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, and I look back from April 27th of 2012, we went on a heater and won. Well, I use we very loosely. Those guys won 21
in a row. Mm-hmm.
And it was just very simply one pitch at a time. They played their hearts out one pitch at a time. And, we got through the MAC tournament, which sometimes is about as challenging as you can imagine. Winning your own conference tournament is not an easy thing. And then I do remember, we'd been to several regionals in the previous years, and they sent us all over Hades. I mean, we were in LA, we were in Phoenix, we were all over the place. And when they revealed the bracket, we were east of the Mississippi, and I think everybody just took a deep breath. We went to Gary, Indiana. The regional that year was hosted by Purdue. They were the 1 seed, and their field was in the process of being built. They had a brand new field going in, and it was not ready yet. So we went to Gary, Indiana, and started that legendary run.
Amazing. And the run that we're talking about, it all began against Western Michigan on April the 27th. That was a 16-5 win. You wouldn't lose again until the second game of the Super Regional out in Eugene, Oregon. I don't care what level of ball, Coach, you rip off 21 in a row, that's some pretty serious stuff right there.
Yeah, and like I had mentioned, Sammy, they just took a one pitch at a time approach, be it on defense or be it on offense, and they owned it, and they just put it all together, man, and they were fun to watch. As a coach, that's what you dream about, is that you basically, as a coach, you get out of the way. You just push a couple buttons now and again when it's obvious, but the fellas, they just rolled.
They most certainly did, and I look back at that, and sometimes I'll go down that rabbit hole on YouTube, and I'll watch some of the bits and pieces of the games from 12 and the game, but the 21 inning. Are you kidding me with that 21 inning game again? And look, 2012. I didn't have ESPN Plus, Coach. I was scrambling to try to find out what was going on. What was that like to finally get out of there with that win?
It was so exciting. It was so frustrating. It was so heartbreaking at times. It was so exhilarating. The emotions were through the roof, and I'm sure a lot of our fans remember feeling a lot of those. And it was just a bunch of heroic performances by guys that had been solid all year, and then we asked them to do a little bit more, and they did. I mean, literally in that game, we had basically a three-headed monster at the end of our games most of the year of the regular season. Brian Clark, Josh Pierce, Michael Clark were one inning guys or specialists at the end of the game, and they each went, I believe, 5 innings at a time in that game. And it was they kept getting guys out, and Coach Strickland would look at me when they come off the mound, and I'm like, they're fine.
Send them out. Send them out, Coach.
They're good. And what was so dynamic about that game is that they had the bases loaded 2 times with 1 out. And I swear to you, they hit comebackers to the pitcher, and we went 1, 2, 3 to get out of innings twice in tie games.
Unbelievable.
You know something or somebody is on your side when
no,
you're able to do that.
No doubt about it. Pitching coach of the Kent State Golden Flashes, Mike Birkbeck, is our guest here on the Sam Berkman Show, 1310 WDPN, streaming all over the world, 1310WDPN.com, and on your favorite YouTube channel with Q92 Radio and Facebook as well. So you get out of Gary, Indiana, and hopefully you had enough clothes in the suitcase, because now you're really getting on the big bird. You're going all the way out to Phil Knight country. You're going out to Eugene, Oregon, to take on the Ducks, who are almost unbeatable in their backyard. Yep. And I'll tell you what, you talk about twists and turns and Pepto-Bismol nights on TV. That had everything, didn't it?
It did. It really did. And what was so much fun about that is we felt really good about that matchup, because they were a West Coast team, and they played West Coast type of baseball, which means that they small ball a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So they get runners on, they're going to bunt them over. So we were, you're figuring you're going to get probably 3 or 4 outs just because of the nature of their game. And you were always going to be in those games. And if you look at those scores, I think every game was a 1-run game.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 7-6, 3-2, 3-2, I think. And our guys just executed. We didn't make any mistakes. They just executed, and we just played Kent State baseball. We pitched it really well, and we got a couple big hits. And I think in game 1, I think Oregon's right fielder made a mistake.
Yep.
Misplayed a ball, and that was all we needed. It opened up the floodgates.
That was it. Do you recall how you felt, what was going through your mind during the dog pile on the mound once you guys knew you were on your way?
I couldn't believe it. It was surreal. And what was so interesting about that is in game 3, we were in the first base dugout. And if you remember the way that game ended, we had a runner on second, and Jimmy Ryder, just a legendary player for us, was up. And he hit that fly ball to left field.
Yep.
And Coach Strickland and I were literally standing where you could look right down the line. And we looked at the left fielder, and he lost the ball in the sun, and we looked at each other while the ball was at the apex, and we're like, we're going to win. And their shortstop made a valiant effort, and he did not come up with it, and the rest is history.
Yeah, Jimmy hit a little slicer, and it just kept going, and you could tell like most of the field was in shit, but then all of us, the sun, and I thought, oh my God, this is going to drop in, and it did, and boom, 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 you're coming around, and there was the big dog pile. Then you knew you're on your way to Omaha. So then you pack up the suitcase again. Now we're going to. Before we get to Omaha, Coach Berkey, what was the travel like as far as, I don't know if you guys had a traveling secretary or if you guys handled all that stuff, but just to make sure everything was good, everybody was accounted for, you had your suitcases, you had your meal money, you had all that. Who handled all that? Because that was wild.
Well, we had two of our administrators handled our senior woman academic advisor, Kathy O'Donnell, and then Greg Glaus, who's now our associate athletic director.
Okay.
They handled all of that stuff. And the NCAA does a great job with the logistics and with the flights and with the buses and with the hotels. So we just basically followed an itinerary and marching orders and went about our business.
I'm glad that worked out well, because that had me freaking out, Coach. That's a lot of time away from home, and you're out there trying to accomplish and get a national championship. So now we get to Omaha, and what was the mood? What was the vibe like with the kids? And I had Lake Center Christian's baseball coach on yesterday, and we were talking about the great year that they had, and then all of a sudden you go playing in front of mom, dad, and grandpa to Munson Stadium and now Canal Park. I said, was there a little Hoosiers moment there where you had to channel Gene Hackman a little bit and say, hey, guys, bases are still 90 feet. It's still 60 foot, 6 inches from the mound to home plate. It's just a little bigger moment. What was that like for everybody?
It was very much like you just presented it. We, they give us an hour of practice time out at the stadium. So during that time, we gave the guys some opportunities to take some pictures and just get used to the environment. But you have to remember the year before, in 2011, which was, that team was off the charts.
Mm-hmm.
It was truly a team we thought was Omaha ready. We had been to the University of Texas for that regional, and, that place was a hornet's nest. And then going, holy cow. I mean, it was an unbelievable experience. So this group of guys was used to that. They'd been to numerous regionals back to back to back, and then having gone to the University of Texas, they were prepared for that environment. And once we got to game day, it was fascinating because if you remember, we opened up with Arkansas.
Yep.
And I remember being on the field when I guess they opened the gates, and it was just a sea of red coming in through the tunnels. And
Pig Suey was everywhere.
they were out in force. And the first part of that game, we played a little bit tense, a little bit nervous, fell behind early. But after that, the guys settled in really well. And then the next two games were fistfights.
Yeah, I mean, you beat Florida 5-4. You knock them out. Bye-bye. And then you fall to South Carolina, who's got a very rich tradition in baseball. That was only a 3-run game as well. And I guess when it finally came to an end, it probably took a couple of days or maybe some weeks to finally let everything sink in. And as you look back now, even almost, we're getting close to, 14, 15 years later. I mean, when you think about what happened, Coach, and the memories and the team bonding and the community spirit, I mean, what kind of feels do you get when you go back and take a look back?
Well, you're still so very proud of the efforts the guys put in and how they responded in different environments and under different circumstances, and how they grew through that, because they were just outstanding. It was just a wonderful group of guys. To be perfectly frank, it might not have been the most talented team we've ever had, but they were all outstanding, skilled baseball players.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show, and you're seeing it now with some of these games. There's still a lot of value in being a skilled baseball player. Yes, talent is vital, but you still have to have baseball skills.
No doubt about it. Coach Mike Birkbeck is our guest, Kent State pitching coach. We're kind of going down memory lane of the 2012 Kent State run to the College World Series in Omaha. And I was just kind of looking down the roster. We touched on Jimmy Ryder, local guys, T.J. Sutton, Tommy Monnett. Of course, there's a young man by the name of John Birkbeck and John Cook, and of course Tyler Scalina. We could go on and on. What a group of guys, huh?
Oh, unbelievable. And I think at one point, 80% of that team was within 3 hours of our campus.
Oh, that's even better.
Yep. It was, and I think 100% it was within 4 hours because we had some really good players from Central PA. But yeah, the bulk of that team were local guys with local ties, unbelievable parental support. And then obviously the community just rallied around us at every turn. And it was just a special run by a special group of guys that had one thing on their mind, and it was the fact that really the 2011 team was the, whatever you want to call it, and they just finished off what we weren't quite able to do in 2011.
Well, I look at it as just an incredible ride, memories they can never take away from you, and it took Florida, Arkansas, and South Carolina. It took all three of them in some way, shape, or form, even though you knocked the Gators out. It took the big bad boys a weekend to get you out of there. And I think that's awesome. And forever we'll remember another year down the road, 5, 10, 15 years, however, we're ever blessed to be on this earth. Always look back at 2012 and it'll bring a big flash smile to our face. Coach, I really appreciate you coming on today. Congratulations again and keep doing your thing at Kent State. And what do you say? Let's get back there again some year.
We're working really hard right now to assemble a roster that's going to do that, and we're really confident moving forward. Trust me, and I really appreciate all you do, Sammy, for high school sports around Northeast Ohio, man.
You got it, Berkey. All the best. Thank you again.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye.
There he goes, Mike Birkbeck, outstanding pitching coach of the Golden Flashes of Kent State.